Hello everyone and welcome back to Fight and Fit podcast, episode 5 today, little milestone, just me and the big laddie today, Hodgie. How you doing, mate?
I'm good.
Alright.
Doing well, yeah.
Watched your last podcast episode, obviously I wasn't on, it was on Zoom. You were shitting a little bit, weren't you?
Well, yeah. It was, yeah, I was really interested in what you were saying and stuff, but, like, there was just, like, affidavits and stuff like that. There was all these law words I'd not really heard before.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understood what you were talking about, but there's times where it's like, kind of hard to understand, and then she put us on the spot a bit.
Well, you came across her, didn't you? Or did she get in touch with you?
She got in touch with me, but then I think she followed me, and then I got in touch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was just, like, I think she put us on the spot a few times, and I was like, oh, well, and it's sort of,
Yeah.
because I was my idea was to just be neutral, let her say, like, everything that she's been researching and, like, all her points, and I was just going to present her points and not really give my opinion. And then, like, 20 minutes into it, I'm like, I can't believe they would do this. And then, like, suddenly I'm invested.
Well, it's one of them, you
what I
don't
mean?
know what's true and what isn't.
Yeah.
You've just got to let her get
But I think
her side of the story.
it's how, like, the amount of evidence and how convincing she is that is how it will happen. She does get you involved, and she does get you to be, like, on her side, you know what I mean?
Ever since...
I've got no doubt that he didn't have HIV.
Well, ever since he died, she has been researching and, like, getting as much detail as she can on this, because obviously it was her husband.
Yeah.
And he died. Like, she wants justice for him, so you can never, like, be on the same wavelength as her, can you? So you've just got to give her the platform she needs.
She's a really good talker as
Yeah,
well. Do you know what I mean?
she was.
And
Yeah,
she's like a genuinely nice person, so she like gets you on side straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah,
it was
it
really good. I really enjoyed it. Go and check it out if you haven't seen it already.
No, they need to check it out. Like,
hopefully more guests coming soon. We've had a few talks with different people, haven't we? Hopefully.
oh, there's some exciting things.
Yeah,
coming
hopefully
up.
coming soon. I mean, worst case, we'll just get the Birdman back on, like.
Yeah,
Just-
I think I
just-
promised him podcast 10.
Podcast 10?
Yeah.
But we need the views, don't we?
Let's go.
Like,
Yeah, he's the high.
I don't
700
understand it,
views
but
on
people
YouTube
actually
now.
want to watch him, like.
Honestly,
I can't believe it.
it's the one I get, like, spoken to about the most everywhere I go.
He's
It's
just
like,
hilarious, isn't he?
oh, Aaron was hilarious on that podcast. It was good.
Carrying the channel.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, let's talk about last week's boxing. Lawrence Okolie
Yeah.
against, I don't even know what his name was.
David Light.
David Light.
Yeah. I think
What did
so.
you think?
To be honest, I watched it on me. I only watched like the last 4 or 5 rounds on my phone. So I went on to see how he was doing, and then I kind of was like half watching it and half not. But from what I've heard people say, it was pretty much the whole, like, it was the same all the way through.
Yeah.
Just, well, he's in. It's not the first boring Lawrence Okolie fight. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, he's had a long layoff. He's got a new trainer, so you can almost let him off because he won a wide points decision, and it's his mandatory as well. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't like just a knock over the fence, but it wasn't what he'd been hoping for at all. Because like he's just signed for Sky, headline, and he wants to like announce himself with a big statement because he wants to be a star really, and like I don't really see that happening.
Yeah. I was the same. I didn't watch it on the night. I was out, mate. I'd just been beat, so I thought, win or lose, hit the booze sort of scenario.
I think you said that as soon as you got out of the ring, to be honest.
Well, I have to pick myself up somehow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, because obviously you boxed in the regional final of the NACs.
Yeah.
It's like senior BAs.
Yeah.
A really good bout.
No, it was. Yeah. Well, 2 good bouts.
Yeah,
Over
but he's
in a week.
like he's a good kid. Him, that Lee Rogers from Berkeley. Obviously, he won the boys' club's senior title before Christmas, and I think he probably just had a little bit experience on you. I mean, I thought it was 1-1 going into the third.
Yeah, so did I.
And then the third was like scrappy.
He just landed the bigger shots, didn't he?
What's the phrase? Nip and tuck.
Nip and tuck.
Nip and tuck.
Nip
I don't know
and
what I
tuck.
said.
Nib and tuck.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't think that's right, lad.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. I said it, I was like, that didn't sound right.
But I guess who I boxed in the semi-final. You'll never guess.
Was it Joe Bailey?
It was, yeah. We're just sick of each other now. Like I think if he didn't see me again, he'd be buzzing. If I didn't see you, he'd be buzzing.
Yeah.
Like, but obviously glad to get the win into the semi. It was a tough fight. Like obviously like making weight. It was the 5th time we boxed, so it's like it just does you like both our heads in, like having to box the same people. So it's good to get through that. Final was the week after on the Saturday. Felt really good, made the weight well, trained hard, felt fit. Just come up against a good kid.
Yeah,
give it me
I
all.
thought it was a good performance.
I feel like I'm mixing it with, like I'm where I want to be, mixing it with the best, and really enjoyed it. I just want to keep training hard and get back at it. Like hopefully,
and looking at
my time will come in the next one.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking at the bout list. I think he'll probably go on to win them.
Well, yeah, he won boys clubs. I don't know what you call them. It's like NGB.
NABGCs.
They're the ones. We'll just stick to boys clubs.
Well, you know, being a boys clubs champion.
Oh, aye. No. But yeah, like I think it's under 22s can still go in.
Yeah.
But these days that's pretty much the NACs really in it. You don't get many 22 plus year olds, especially in the lighter weights. I think still senior.
Yeah.
Because everyone tends to turn pro. So he won them. He's 5-time national champion as well. So
his records like ridiculous as well.
You'd think if you were to win that fight, like you'd go into the national stage one of the favourites. Like,
well, it was one of the few weights where GB didn't have a seed in.
No, there wasn't. No, not even like a seed.
Yeah.
In general, there was none. So it's a wide open division. Like, so you'd think the winner of that maybe like chance to join GB and also just become a seed for next year. So it's a big opportunity. Disappointed not to get the win, but just got to keep going at it, don't you?
Yeah,
know
definitely. Win or lose.
I enjoy myself on the night though. Didn't enjoy watching Okolie. Like, I watched them the next day. I watched the first 6 and I just had to turn it off. Like,
see, we've probably watched the whole fight between us, but like
first 6, last 6. You
the
can't watch the
second
full thing. Fucking hell, you got to kip mine. Thing is though, you can't argue with what he's done. He's undefeated. No one's ever come close to beating him. World champion. He's boxed some class names and never ever looked like getting beat.
Yeah.
But his style is so boring, and it looks like he just, from what I saw, he was on his feet, great, nice up stance, like up on his feet stance, jabs great, but he just can't he can't box in close. He can't do it.
But he doesn't.
Whenever he gets in close, he just grabs, and it's awful. But like it's blatantly obvious he is grabbing the opponent. I don't know how he didn't get multiple points taken off.
Yeah,
like.
He did get 1 point.
Did he get one
later
on
in the fight?
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But I think he's very physically strong, isn't he? Because obviously he's a massive cruiserweight.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where he's had a lot of the success from, because he hits really hard, and then the inside, when these guys do get inside, he can just tie them up and they can't really do a lot about it.
You've got to think as well, he's been in the Olympics. You don't get there like of bad boxing ability. He's clearly a good boxer.
He got the Olympics on very little experience as well.
Yeah, but didn't he like not start boxing until he was late, like 18 or something?
I think he'd only been boxing like 18 months, 2 years when he got the Olympics.
Mental. So he's still like in years of experience, a novice really.
Yeah.
And for what he's achieved, ridiculous. So maybe we're being a bit too harsh, like, but like when you're the main event on a Sky Sports card and it's your first fight under Sky, you want to impress, don't you? And like he was getting boos at the end and that.
People were walking out.
I think people are starting to look at Chris Billum-Smith and Riakpo and think like these could beat him.
Yeah,
I think that's good, to be fair, because it'll make them fights happen.
I think they're both interesting fights, but the Billum-Smith fight, like, especially because he's inside fighter, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's very physically
That's
strong.
what he likes. Yeah,
so he could be one of the few who could like stand up to Lawrence Okolie on the inside and like push him off and like find the gaps when Lawrence Okolie's just trying to hold.
Yeah, it would be really interesting. They're both on like, well, Billum-Smith, since he lost to Riakpo, was a split decision winner. He's been on a right run. He's won pretty much every title he has, hasn't he?
Yeah.
British, Commonwealth, European.
Yeah.
Won every major domestic title and European. So he only needs the world now.
And then Riakpo, I like Riakpo's style. Like he's very patient.
Yeah.
And then when he does let the shots go, like he hurts them.
Yeah. Well, you could even do the Riakpo Billum-Smith rematch, because I'm sure Billum-Smith's got a date at the stadium, didn't he? At the Bournemouth Stadium. So that's going to have to be a big fight. You'd think that would have to be Okolie or Riakpo. So you could do the Riakpo rematch, then the winner boxes Okolie for the title, and then you get all three of them involved, don't you?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind seeing Okolie in either one of them, or the rematch, and then the winner boxes Okolie. But I think Okolie underperforming has made them fights bigger. If that makes sense, more interesting.
Yeah, but it's like no one's going to be rushing to buy tickets to another
Lawrence Okolie fight,
do you know what I mean?
Aye, that's the only problem. Like,
So when he's headlining the shows, it's not great unless you've got a really good undercard on. It's not really going to sell, I don't think.
yeah.
And especially because he's a world champion and he wants to be becoming like a pay-per-view star.
Well, I think
and I don't see that happening.
if you ask the general public, oh, can you name British world champions? I don't think Lawrence Okolie pops up. Like, I forgot he was world champion.
Yeah.
Like, which is bad. Like, I don't know if that's down to promotional team, himself, or just like his fighting style, like we said. But he needs to get himself out there. Like,
He's been having a right go at Eddie Hearn for weeks now, hasn't he?
yeah, yeah.
Because they've had a really bad fall. He was calling them like a slave master and stuff like that. Yeah,
It's
it
not
was
great. Like, is it?
like Eddie Hearn wasn't happy with the stuff he was saying at all. Like it seemed like it really fell out.
Well, no, that's just to call him that's bad. Like, because
Yeah.
it can mean all sorts, can't it? So yeah, I think enough on that. I'm sick of talking about Okolie, to be honest. He's not worth the airtime. Just done 10 minutes on him there.
Yeah.
I'll watch less of his fight. Let's look on to Joshua on this weekend against Franklin. I don't know his first name, like.
Jermaine.
Do you reckon that's going to be a formality for Joshua?
I think it's a good fight. I think he beat Dylan White, to be honest. I remember
Yeah, I think he did as well.
waiting for the decision. I thought it's at least a draw or a Franklin win.
It was one of them. It was close, but it was a Dillian White show. I was like, he's gonna get. I was quite confident that White would get it for some reason.
See, I just thought they might give it a draw, but I thought if anyone deserved it, it was Franklin.
Yeah.
And I think he's almost got a similar like Andy Ruiz kind of style. Like
Yeah.
he's a short heavyweight
Yeah.
with fast hands. He's not a massive puncher, but Andy Ruiz isn't a massive puncher either.
Yeah.
So it could be a style that like gives AJ a problem. But I'm just excited to see Joshua back in the ring. To be honest.
Yeah, so am I. Do you reckon it's the right fight for him
No.
at this stage after
I
Usyk?
think he'll win it, and I think he should look good, but it's not the fight I would have picked.
What fight would you have picked?
I'd have just give him like a bit more of a knock-over job,
Aye.
like a Gerald Washington or something.
Aye.
Yeah, I just think.
Interesting.
Well, like Wilder's fight against Helenius, do you know what I mean? I'd give him an opponent like that. Do you know? Whereas
Yeah.
I think Franklin's young and he's hungry and he's coming to win. Do you know what I mean?
It's just crazy. Obviously, the two Usyk defeats, they were like massive pay-per-view events. One was in Saudi. Or was it Jeddah? Is that where it was? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like the whole world watching, and now I don't even think they've sold out the O2. I'm sure there's still tickets.
Well, I was
available.
at the first Joshua Usyk fight.
Aye.
It was like ridiculous. Like I could barely see. I was that high up.
Yeah.
And like it was probably the first. It's definitely the first stadium show I've ever been to, and it was just surreal
Well,
seeing
it
like
was-
all these people packed to just see these two men
Yeah.
fighting in a ring.
He was carried. Well, he still probably does carry the sport, Joshua. Do you reckon he's bigger? Still as bigger than Tyson Fury? Or do you reckon?
I think
Fury's
Fury's
bigger
probably
now.
overtaken him at the minute.
Do you
But
reckon?
I think they're like a lot of people are turning against Tyson Fury now
Yeah.
because of the way that the Usyk negotiations ended.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of like showed himself up a bit to not be the fighting man that he like claims to
I
be,
think-
and that he's more of a businessman than he would like to
Yeah.
admit.
Yeah. I think he is a fighting man. I think if Fury and Usyk meet in a back lane, he's taking the cleaners. Like I think he obviously scrap them. But when he goes on saying, "Oh, it's not about the money," like Usyk's a dosser, like Fury, like he'll take that fight, but for the right amount of money.
And at the
And if
right
he's not
time.
getting that right amount of money, he won't want the fight.
So he's not someone who takes hard fight after hard fight after hard. Like I think Joshua gets a lot of stick, but he took on the best challenges he could. Do you know what I mean?
I think Joshua's come out good in this scenario. 'Cause
Yeah.
It shows that, well, he took on Usyk twice. He fought Klitschko, which Klitschko was at the end, but you were thinking, it probably not 50-50, 60-40 in Joshua's favour, but you were thinking he could get beat here. This is a big occasion for him.
Yeah, but and he was fast tracked as well. Really,
Yeah,
It was like his 16th
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
or something when he's boxing for world
Yeah.
titles.
Even Povetkin and stuff.
Yeah.
Takam, they were hard fights, and Povetkin we've seen was very dangerous. He sparked White out not
Yeah,
long after
definitely.
that. So yeah, I think Joshua's gaining credibility for that, and it just makes you think as well. What was the crack with Fury Joshua? What what happened there.
Well, Bob Arum's a lawyer as well, you know. So it's like the idea that he had no idea that Wilder had any chance of winning that arbitration to get the rematch. It's like it just doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah.
he would at least know that there's a chance that he would win, if not know that he's probably gonna. So I to be honest, I think they strung them along a bit, and just thought we'll get her to do all the work and like just make himself look a bit of a tit.
Yeah.
When they knew the fight wasn't really
the
gonna
problem
happen.
with Fury as well, like he thinks he can just fool the nation
Yeah.
by like it's clearly obvious he wants a certain amount of money in the right terms, which is fair enough. But then don't do one thing in the contract room and say another thing to the whole public.
Well, like
He's taking us for a fool.
the videos he's
in
been
my
putting out
opinion.
as well, like he's so aggressive towards Usyk and like calling him like, where does the anger come from? Do you know what I mean? Because like Usyk's not said anything particularly bad about Tyson Fury. He's not. There's no reason to be getting angry. Like there's no hate involved
He's
in it.
fighting.
Do you know what I mean?
He's fighting a war for his country currently, and he's trying to make the biggest fight, like in his career. And that isn't didn't he want like £1 million to go to Ukraine out of Fury's purse?
Yeah.
So he's doing it for his country.
Fury refused
and
that.
Fury's
you know?
just taking the piss.
He refused to pay the
Did he?
million. He said he doesn't want to get involved in political, stuff.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I just think it's not really a political statement to help out Ukraine. Do you know what I mean?
Tight than an own's crotch, this Fury, isn't he?
No, but I think I watched Usyk do an interview the other day, and he was talking about. Do you remember after was it the Chisora fight where Usyk was ringside? It will have been.
Yeah.
And they did
that was
the
last one, wasn't it?
face off.
Yeah.
And Fury shouting at him, and he said as soon as the camera went away, Fury shook his hand and
I
went,
think
"Good luck, mate."
You can even tell that though, because as soon as the camera's there, the act starts,
Yeah.
and he's not looking in his eyes and meaning it on a personal level. I think you can tell that it's all for sure.
Yeah.
And it does make you think, is Fury as genuine as he makes out to be?
But I think especially Usyk just seems like a good bloke as well. Do you know what I mean? There's no nonsense with him at all.
Yeah.
So he's almost like the polar opposite of Fury, where he's
Yeah.
straight to the point. Like there's no bullshit with him.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what has got more people on side. I mean, there's loads of people who actually want him to beat Fury now, like
Yeah,
English people as
definitely,
well.
Yeah. I think people have turned against Fury.
Yeah.
Maybe don't want him to see him get beat, but want him took down a peg or two. Who do you think wins the fight then?
I'd have to say Fury, but I think Usyk would have success. Do you know, I wouldn't.
Points.
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
really. To be honest, I'm not sure. But if I had a gun to my head, I'd say Fury.
Yeah. I quite find it hard playing it out in my mind. Normally, I can imagine two
Yeah.
boxers going at it. I can't imagine how it would play out like.
Even how they would match up size wise, I'm not sure in my head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like I might be surprised, and I think when I watched the Joshua Usyk fight compared to the Fury Wilder fight or the Fury Chisora fight, I think the speed and the pace of the Usyk fight was just much higher.
Yeah.
So I think he'll have much more hand speed, because Fury's a fast heavyweight, but Usyk's just on a different level in terms of speed, coordination, even his stamina.
Yeah.
Because he can still throw.
Fury
the
can't
amount
do
of
12
punches he
rounds like
throws
Usyk
around
can do 12 rounds. No way.
isn't normal for a heavyweight.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, hopefully. Well, I don't think it is coming off now, is it? I think it's. Do you reckon it's dead in the water? Or do you reckon it's still happening?
Well, they're talking about Daniel Dubois fighting as the mandatory.
Yeah, because he's number one.
And I just don't understand. I don't understand how he's got to that position.
Yeah, I know.
He beat that. What's his name? Trevor Bryant, the American, on the Don King show, who was fat and overweight, and now he gets a world title shot. It doesn't make any sense. How is he ahead of Joe Joyce getting a world title shot?
Yeah, it is crazy. Well, he got away with one, didn't he? When he got hit right at the end of the round, he was hurt. It didn't the ref or didn't the bell? The bell went 10 seconds early, didn't it? I think. And then he got sat down in the corner and recovered and ended up winning.
Yeah, well, he was down 3 times. I think because at first when I watched it, I thought, he must have hurt his leg, because he was saying about his knee, but apparently afterwards he said, oh no, he was just his legs just went.
Yeah.
which was just a bit bizarre. And with him being such a big man, like his back leg couldn't hold his weight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He kept falling on the floor, and he wasn't even getting hit.
Yeah.
So I don't see that as a particularly hard fight.
Well, I think Usyk dealt with Joshua twice, and I think Dubois is a poor man's Joshua. Style-wise, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of
Big,
people
decent jab.
a lot of people used to say Joshua was similar to Frank Bruno, which I don't agree with. But I think Dubois is very similar to Frank Bruno.
Yeah.
Really good jab, big, strong, but like a bit limited and not the best hand speed, not the best movement.
He's still young though, isn't he? There's still
Yeah.
good fights there. He's not at that world level yet.
But
and maybe he doesn't ask.
I would almost think you wouldn't put him in with an Usyk yet, because he's already lost once, which isn't a big deal. But I just think you want to keep building the momentum with him.
Yeah,
and you don't want to. I don't see him learning a lot from an Usyk fight.
Yeah.
I think you want to keep him winning and then see like. I think he's probably a couple years away from that world level.
Yeah. Well, he's got years on his side, doesn't he? So you look at Joe Joyce, he's at like a stage in his life and career where he needs them big fights now, and I think he's ready for them. So yeah, maybe it's best for Dubois to hold off, but whether they do or not, because of money, we'll see. Because if you're in that mandatory spot, it's going to be like you've got to take it, really, don't you?
Well, even if they're like, because I think he's the interim champion or the regular champion, whatever they call it. It's stupid anyway. But Bacolli's the number 2, so I think a final eliminator between him and Bacolli, and then I would have no problem him fighting for a world title if he beat Martin Bacolli.
Yeah.
I think he's still a couple of fights away from
He's
it.
very underrated, Bacolli, like, isn't he?
Yeah.
He went over to France and just battered Tony Yoka, and it was still a split decision.
Well, it was the same with the Takam fight when Takam beat Yoka. It was still a split decision.
Well, didn't Bacolli, he got beat off Michael Hunter, didn't he, in the last round?
Yeah.
Was he winning that fight or not?
He was getting beat.
No, alright, fair enough.
But he was on the commentary for the Takam Yoka fight.
Aye.
And he said on the commentary about how he stopped Daniel Dubois in sparring twice. He stopped Usyk in sparring, and it was like I didn't like. Not even that I find
Dubois, fair enough, not Usyk though.
I didn't like it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you should be telling them sort of stuff, and I don't think it gets them any closer to getting big fights either.
Yeah. Sparring at the end of the day.
Well, definitely. And then his coach was putting on a day like all these people pulling out to spar Martin Bacolli, and it's like, well, I'm not surprised. He's just gonna go on Sky and tell everyone that he's like chinned them.
What's just been announced this week? Haney v Lomachenko.
Yeah.
What do you think of that fight?
I think it's exciting. I'm still not sure how good Devin Haney is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think when he boxes on the jab and when he stays disciplined, he's great and he doesn't really get touched. But then there's times where you can see he's like pushing for a stoppage and he tries to hold his feet more and he gets caught. And when he gets caught, he tends to he gets hurt a bit. You can see that he's uncomfortable. So I don't know. I could see him sticking to his boxing because that's what he did in both Kambosos fights and just staying disciplined. And I could see him beating Lomachenko. I think it might be the right time for him.
Well, I think after Lomachenko's defeat to Teofimo Lopez, he's gone massively underrated. People are forgetting that before that fight he was pound for pound arguably number 1, definitely top 3. I don't think people have him in that top 3 anymore.
Well, he finished very strong in that fight as well.
I think if they were to go again, you'd fancy Lomachenko. I think size was a massive factor. I think he did feel the power and it did upset his rhythm. And that could happen again with Haney because Haney is a lot bigger than Lomachenko as well, isn't he?
Well, he was coming off a shoulder surgery, Lomachenko. And I think he said he couldn't really throw one of his, I can't remember which arm it was, but one of his arms. So I think that probably impacted the fight.
It shouldn't be an excuse though, should it? You can't go into a fight.
It shouldn't. But exactly, especially a fight because it was all the titles on the line.
That size,
You should just postpone it or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not worth the risk.
It's good to see all the lightweights getting at it though, because you got Tank Garcia announced as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. I think people are more excited for that.
That's a good fight.
Than the Haney Lomachenko fight.
I think that's more exciting.
But it's weird because it's Gervonta Davis is probably the biggest star in the division. Does the best on pay-per-views and stuff.
He's not even a lightweight though, is he?
Well,
really?
I think Ryan Garcia beats him, you know.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I just think he's a bigger man.
Yeah.
I think it might be a step too far for Gervonta Davis.
Yeah. Davis, he gets outboxed, didn't he, until he lands the big punch.
Yeah,
Can
exactly.
Garcia stay out? It's going to be an exciting fight.
It is. I just see.
And we'll have a lot of questions answered about Garcia, won't we? We know what Tank's about. Let's see.
We'll probably do a preview close at the time.
Aye, you reckon? Could
Probably.
do one of their breakdowns where like they get in the ring, like Johnny Nelson and Macklin, what they do.
Yeah.
We'll get the gloves on and
We'll get a whiteboard and like.
Who would you be?
Circle all the
Tank or
things.
Garcia?
I'm Garcia.
I think you'd have to be when you're
Yeah.
taller. I'm the bigger puncher as well, so.
Well.
So yeah, more interesting news, but like I think this is what gets us the views here, like the little bit at the end. So Kell Brook, after snorting lines of cocaine, has decided to get back into the ring. He was giving them like eye emojis and that on his Instagram the other day, talking to Steady Eddie.
Big thing that's coming.
Yeah, something like that. I was like, something I like to hear. Something
Yeah.
like that he put on. Who do you reckon that's about?
I think it's Conor Ben. I don't think next. I think later on in the year.
Yeah, because
Like a big
they're on
Conor
about Ben
Ben
Eubank
fight.
for June 6th, I think.
Well, the Border Control have said like anyone involved in Ben Eubank, if it happens in Saudi or anything like that, they'll be taking the licenses off.
Really?
So I think they're going to try everything they can to stop that from happening, which I get. Do you know what I mean?
Especially when there's
He's not been cleared yet by
Yeah.
the board.
and
yet.
when there's big fights out there anyway, like just leave him alone.
But I kind of like the Eubank Ben fight just because it means Liam Smith can do something else.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see Eubank Smith again. I think the first fight was a conclusive ending. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any need for a rematch. And I'd like to see him go on to bigger and better things. Like he was mandatory for the world title at middleweight.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see him have another crack at that.
If you're Eubank, you've just been sparked by someone you didn't think you like would have been. The rematch will be on his terms.
Yeah.
It won't suit Eubank, and there's bigger fights out there like Ben or Brook, or he could just go to middleweight and pursue like the world title that he still hasn't got. So I think there's better options then, and I think Smith, if he could decide, he wouldn't rematch Eubank. I think he'd want like a Kell Brook or a Conor Ben,
definitely.
and I think he wants to get another world title, didn't he?
I think it's a hard fight to sell. Like a Eubank
Yeah,
Smith rematch
Because it's such a conclusive ending.
there's no way. I don't see how you can convince anyone that it's going to be any different to the first fight.
Yeah. In fairness, so I would watch it again because you know like how good Eubank is, and the rounds before that were
But pay per view,
Competitive.
are you paying for it?
no, not
But
pay per view.
That's
And it would have to be
what they
pay-per-view.
would be asking for.
Yeah, good point. I think out of the four, out of Brook, Smith, Eubank, Ben, what would you want to see?
I think Smith and Brook is a good fight.
Yeah,
I think I'd fancy Liam Smith to win that.
they've
At
sparred
this
before,
stage
haven't
as
they?
well.
Quite
Yeah,
recently, I think as well.
I think that's a good fight. Well, when was it Liam Smith who came to Sky? It was the Brook fight originally that he came to get. Do you know what I mean? They were building that up to be a big fight, and then I think they both just went in their separate ways. But yeah, I think it's a good fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot of money for Brook to come out of retirement and fight them. Like, I think he was talking like 10 million, wasn't he?
Well, how old
I
is
think
Brook?
from it. I'm
Is he
not
like
sure.
36, 37?
I don't think he's that old. Like,
I mean,
that sounds old.
yeah, he looked good in the Khan fight.
Yeah, he did.
But obviously,
You don't know how shot Khan was,
Yeah.
but he did look good. I think I'd just like to see them all in there. It feels a bit like, it doesn't feel like it's like world championship boxing. It just feels like there's four big names there, just like fighting it out amongst themselves. Just like big money fights, and the
Yeah.
fights they want people to see, don't they?
yeah, I think because Liam Smith and Kell Brook are sort of towards the end of their career. I think Smith's got more in the tank than Brook,
Yeah.
and then Eubank is probably coming towards the end. He might be in a similar position, but Conor Ben, he's young and he's up and coming, so they'll be trying to use these bigger names and these older, like more well-known fighters to build his name, won't they?
Yeah. I think Brook and Smith are, like you said, they're at similar stages of the career, so that makes sense. You want to see Ben go and achieve something in the weight he's at, which is welterweight, in it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he gets judged on his ability by beating a Chris Eubank or maybe a Liam Smith or a Kell Brook. I don't think he gets judged. If he beats Kell Brook or Eubank, you can't call him like, or like he's world class, he's this, that. Like, that's just a big money fight that he might win. I don't think that like has any legacy on his career personally.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think he needs to establish himself in a weight like he was doing before the Eubank fight came about, and let's see if he can get a world title or somewhere close.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of welterweights in America as well, like them Jaron Ennis and is it Victor or Virgil Ortiz? Golden Boy's got a welterweight, Ortiz.
Is it Ortiz Jr.?
Yeah, he's really good. Like,
yeah. He
both
just beat
of them legacy defining fights.
He beat McKinson, didn't he?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, like easy as well. So yeah, no, good fights for him. Good fights for him. But I don't think he'll take it. I think he'll stay on them eggs when he and just fight Eubank.
The one big fight, the one big money fights for him. I think it's quite clear with
Which does
how
make
adamant
sense.
they were of making the Eubank fight. Did you watch Eddie Hearn on Simon Jordan's show on Talk Sport?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah.
What did you think? I can't get away with that Simon Jordan, mate.
Oh, see, I love him. Like,
Really?
I think he's class. I think he speaks really well. He's really knowledgeable about everything he talks about, and it's very hard to like get the upper hand on him. But I do think Eddie, like, if there was a winner of the argument, I think Eddie won it, because you just can't argue with Eddie on boxing. He's too good, he's too clever, and he speaks too well. He's just as good of a speaker as Jordan, and he knows more.
Yeah.
But not that like Jordan made some good points, and so did Eddie. I just think Eddie come out on top. What do you think? Have you watched it?
Yeah, I thought the same, to be honest. I don't like that Simon Jordan.
Why?
I just think he's come out of nowhere. He's not really got any history in boxing. He doesn't, like, who's he to be called? I think some of his takes as well. He was going through Joshua's resume, saying about like how he's been overrated and how he's been like carried through his career and stuff. And I think he's like the Piers Morgan of boxing.
Yeah,
I think
know
he likes to create drama, just because he knows that's what gets the attention.
Yeah.
When like he's not really that outraged. Do you know what I mean? He's not sat at home like fuming because of the Conor Ben Eubanks situation.
Yeah.
But then he gets on Talk Sport, and suddenly it's like the worst thing he's ever seen in his life.
I think he'll claim he's not an expert at boxing. I think he's really good for the football, because he owned a footy club.
Yeah.
So he understands like the economics of footy and how it works, and he probably understands like contractually like promoters and how like all that works, and he like does genuinely love boxing, so he loves talking about it. He follows all the big fights, so, and he's an intelligent man, so he speaks really well, so that's like how he does as well as he does. But I like you say, he's not daft. He knows how to like have an argument in his favour, interrupt people, and get his point across the way he wants to do.
The Piers Morgan of boxing.
Yeah.
That's what I've dubbed him as. That's sticking that.
Well, if you're watching this, Simon, I like you, so
I don't.
no.
I can't lie to him. You know what I mean?
Fair enough, mate.
But they just announced today as well that England boxing won't be taking a team of the youth Europeans.
Yeah.
Because of Russia and Belarus are still going to be boxing in them Europeans. So they did the same with the Women's World Championships, where England boxing have said they're not going if them countries will be competing in it because of the war going on in Ukraine and things.
Well, I understand where they're coming from, obviously. It's just shit how England have to suffer, and like the boxers have to suffer. Like we that's your category, innit? The youth.
Yeah.
You've been up there, haven't you, sparring? So you know all the lads going.
I was talking to them and they were saying we don't think we'll be going anyway, and that was last week. So I think all the boxers kind of knew. So I think they're going to take them to a different tournament.
Yeah.
But like winning some
good, but it's not
international tournaments, the different to being European champion.
You want a major international medal around your hand, and also like if we're talking about the bigger picture, it's massive in terms of pro contracts and stuff in the future. You have one of them like European bronze, silver, gold medals around your neck. Like you're walking into a big contract there.
Yeah,
so it is massive, like, and I'm gutted for them.
Well, I think what it is, it's because the Olympic Committee, they don't want Russia and Belarus to be competing in the Olympics, whereas the IBA, who's like the sanctioning body of the amateur boxing, the president's a Russian. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, right.
So they are still letting them compete under the flag with their national anthem, and it's creating like an even bigger separation between amateur boxing in the Olympics when it's already unsure whether
Yeah.
they'll be in the next Olympics, and they're not scheduled to be in the 2028
No.
Olympics.
No. We touched on this in the last episode I was on, wasn't it? Like, it's crippling, like, the
Yeah.
high end of amateur boxing, really.
Well, it's crap as well because really you only get one opportunity to go to the Olympics. Like there'll be with it being every 4 years, there's one that'll probably suit each person for each age. You know what I mean?
And
like waiting 8 years to go to the Olympics that takes
Yeah.
away from your pro career
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
And if you look at the pros, like, look at AJ. He's done what he's done off the back of that Olympic gold medal. Eddie Hearn signed him, saw he was going to be the next cash cow for 5 years, built him up, got him an easy world title, made him this massive name, and obviously, like, he is good to compete with, like, the likes of Usyk. Like, you're still going to be good enough, but the opportunity AJ got and, like, what he's, like, went to is ridiculous off the back of an Olympic medal. So if that gets taken away, it's going to be a lot harder to create the next stars of the future, innit?
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's why people are turning pro early anyway,
Yeah.
because they know that, like, even the chance of it not being there, you'd think I'm not taking the risk when I could
Yeah.
be cracking on, like, boxing pro and getting experience in the pro game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of opportunity now, isn't there? As we've seen if our recently filmed press conference of Mo Pryor.
Oh yeah, when you dropped us in it and didn't come and help.
What was it? I just boxed and I was sore. Give you a tripod though, didn't I?
Oh yeah,
That come in handy, did it?
It did. So yeah, I go down on my own, film this. The sound wasn't great, like.
Ah, it's good character building, man.
No, it wasn't.
You've got like
and
you've got a shitty little like iPhone like 8, don't you?
well, that's Sport and Icons. Do you know who does like a lot of the
Yeah.
media stuff up
He's
here?
from the northeast, isn't he?
Yeah, he was like asking questions. He was like, "Oh, like who you with and stuff like that," and I was just like, to be honest, mate, started a podcast 3 weeks ago. Like I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. But he's that Dave Westgarth said we'll get like media tickets and drinks passes and stuff.
Why?
So
That'd be alright, wouldn't it?
well, obviously we try getting the Matchroom press conference, and that didn't go very well.
Just got pied.
So got to work our way up.
We're expecting to go in there, set the tripod up, get the phone on, film the full presser, get loads of interviews. Didn't even get through the door, did we?
Starting from the bottom, we'll get there.
I love how I had to talk to the two massive bouncers like you. Just
Well, you were the one holding
yeah,
the
in the
tripod,
background.
like.
does that make any difference? Who holds the
To be
tripod?
honest, I was a bit embarrassed to be seen as you holding a tripod with Monster Energy stickers on it.
It's not mine, is it? It's borrowed, but not getting returned.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to use it now to get a thumbnail, aren't we?
Get in.
Right. Well, I think we'll leave it there.
Ah.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
Please like and subscribe. Need to get that in.
We actually do. If you're gonna subscribe, like, because there's all the people who don't have YouTube accounts, isn't there? Who listen? Because I think it's like 80% or something of our listeners aren't subscribed. So literally, just sign up and make an account. It's like make an email address and make a password. It takes like 2 minutes,
Exactly.
and it does make a difference.
Yeah.
So yeah. Like and
Cheers, mate.
subscribe.